Today we're going to talk about hand sewing, and most of your projects can be done by the sewing machine, but every once in a while you need to do a few things by hand. Hand stitches are worked with a single thread of fabric about 18 to 24 inches long, and remember I mentioned to you before that it's a good idea to just use a length of thread, measuring it with your arm, and that's a good length, and you tie a knot at the end. I will be following the notes that you have. A good hand stitch will be secured at the beginning and the end with no loose threads, have a uniform length, be invisible or almost invisible from the outside of the garment, be neat on the inside, have knots or threads between the fabric layers or hidden within the construction, consist of the appropriate thread, which is for the most part your regular all-purpose thread, and be smooth and not pucker on the right side or the wrong side. We're going to take a look at two hand stitches today, the slip stitch and the whip stitch, and you have two video links, and they are from Monkey See, and Dawn Anderson does that, and you can get a good close-up idea of how to do each stitch. So make sure you take a look at them. In order to do this assignment, what you need to do is first of all cut two pieces, because you're going to do the slip stitch and the whip stitch. So you want to cut a 5 by 8 piece of fabric from your 8-inch piece, and then what you want to do is press up a 1/2 inch on the 8-inch edge. You can see that there. So measure it. This is where your seam gauge comes in handy, and you can put that mark at the 1/2 inch and measure it right there as you're pressing. So you want to press up a 1/2 inch, and then you want to fold it up again 1.5 inches, and once again measure it with your seam gauge and press it down. Then you want to pin and stitch the 8-inch edge, and you're ready to do your seam samples. Now when you get started, and I have a little sample here just to show you, and I have a needle and thread, and what you can see is that it's got a single thread and a knot at the end. So when you start, I'm going to move this down so you can see, you want to go into the fold like so, and that hides your knot. Okay? And for the slip stitch, you're going to take a stitch in the garment fabric and pull it through, and then you're going to stitch into the folded edge, and that hides that stitch. Sometimes this is called a hidden stitch. When you look at the video, she'll do a whole sample and show you how to do that. The second stitch is called the whip stitch. And for the whip stitch, instead of hiding the stitch, you come from behind the stitch, take a little bite of the garment fabric, and this time you're going through the fold. And this is frequently, I'll do another one, this is frequently how people sew, and at this point you can see the stitches. Many people think that's the easier way to sew, but they have to look really good. So sometimes the hidden stitch is a little bit easier. Take a look at those two videos and practice. Hand sewing takes practice, and make sure you're comfortable when you do it. I like to sit down and lean on the table. Some people are more comfortable standing up. Whatever works for you. And remember to make sure you pin your seam edge so it doesn't pucker and fall down and bunch up on you.